Hey there everybody, welcome to West Coast Supercars and Classics. I'm Mark. It is December 31st, 2017, and I am here to bring you our top 10 supercars of 2017. All right, let's get started, shall we? I'm going to start off with the lower price point cars, so that's the more real cars, and then the more all the way to the unreal cars, which are priced in the multi-millions, okay? I'm not going to give any definitive ranking of these cars today, except that they're in the top 10 for my list for 2017. You may have your opinions about which cars are the best of the year, and I might, but that's not what this is about. All right, so here we start off with the Dodge Viper ACR. Now, Dodge Viper's been around for a long time. You all know that. It's had a long and really interesting history as an ultra high performance car at a really bargain price point. And it's been a great competitor to the Chevy Corvette. So America's had these high-end, high-performance sports cars which have really put America on the map consistently. What's really notable about the Viper ACR is that it is outgoing. This is its swan song this year, which is very sad in a lot of ways, but the automotive industry moves on and Dodge has seen fit to take it away. I don't know if they're going to come out with something else or not. So anyway, final production year 2017, it's leaving us with 645 horsepower out of a huge 8.3 liter V10 engine. Yeah. 600 pounds-feet of torque at 5,000 RPM. So it's a very large engine, produces a ton of power. A 3,400 pound curb weight puts this right in the middle of the reasonably weighted cars. It's not an overweight car at all, and this is borne out by its performance. However, it's not made of exotic, expensive materials like carbon fiber and the like, but it does have carbon ceramic brakes, it has a ton of aero, amazing car. It definitely belongs on this list in my view because it did a 1:28.65 at Laguna Seca track with Randy Pobst. That's a fantastic result. It's faster than the Porsche 918 Spider, believe it or not. Not to mention that a private effort recently at the Nürburgring Nordschleife in Germany gave a 7:01 result, just over 7 minutes. And you may say, oh, well, you know, there's faster cars than that. That is true. However, the Dodge Viper ACR was faster on the Nürburgring than the Nissan GT-R Nismo, the Mercedes AMG GT-R, what else? Porsche 911 GT3, the Corvette Z06, current Corvette Z06, and even the Ferrari 488 GTB. Those are a lot of cars that you might have thought were faster. Nope, the Dodge is faster. It's, you know, within about a second of the Lamborghini Aventador SV on the Nürburgring, and that car costs almost 4 times more. So, well done, Dodge. Congratulations for a fantastic effort with the Viper. It will be missed by performance junkies all over the place, even if it is kind of a, I don't know, a bit of an oddity in the automotive world. All right, next up, we got the Mercedes AMG GT-R. And I'm going to include in this little package here the Porsche 911 GT3 RS. Why? Because the Porsche is not a new car. I know that, but you can't really have one of these without the other, because honestly, I don't think the AMG GT-R would exist if it weren't for the 911 GT3 RS. That was their target. That's their competitor that they were going after. The AMG GT-R and the 911 GT3 RS are the kind of cars I put in this category. The kind you could drive every day and then spank everybody on the racetrack with. That category. These cars cost roughly the same amount, about $200,000 US, and they're both beautifully engineered and complete cars, I think. Horsepower, of course, is 500 for the Porsche and 577 for the twin-turbo V8 GT-R. Alright, next on our list is a car you might not expect, but one I think is a beautiful car, well engineered and deserving to be here. That is the Ferrari 812 Superfast. Now, the 812 replaces the outgoing F12, which had a slightly smaller V12 engine It's been bumped up to 6.5 liters now. Now the horsepower is 789 at 8,500 RPM, and the torque is over 500 pounds-feet at something like 7,000 RPM. This, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is the most powerful normally aspirated engine in any production car made today. So this is really something. Now this thing has a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. The dry weight is under 3,300 pounds, which compares favorably with the Corvette Z06 or the upcoming ZR1, for example. It's not a heavy car. It's got advanced aerodynamics, which is very important in this class of car. These are very fast cars that are going to do over 200 miles an hour. Anything that has more than 800 horsepower is going to be a 200 mile an hour plus car all day long. And they need variable aerodynamics to work at the speeds we're talking about here. Next on our list is none other than the Lamborghini Huracan Performante. Amazing car, it's turning into a bit of a legend onto its own. This car weighs under 3,100 pounds, it's a lightweight, it's using lots of composite materials, it's got carbon fiber and what they call their new forged composites. And it's got a normally aspirated V10 engine. You all know about this engine that goes into the Audi V10 Plus and so on. It's been shared with that platform, the Audi platform, for a while now, since the Gallardo. And the output is 631 horsepower at 8,000 RPM. That makes this engine another of these beautiful screamers. There's not too many of them left. Mentioned the 812 Superfast by Ferrari. We got the Aventador, of course, that you know of. But again, the Huracan Performante is another one of these very beautiful high RPM engines. As with the 812 Superfast, this has advanced variable aerodynamics as well. This is in keeping with this class of car, right? We're talking about cars that are working up to 300,000 plus US dollars, and they're very sophisticated in terms of their aerodynamics. Next on our top 10 list of supercars for 2017 is the McLaren 720S. Rah! Now this is probably the it car right now, isn't it? It's been dominating at the drag strip, strangely enough, for a supercar. You know, it gets power down really, really well. I've seen it in countless videos, just decimating all sorts of other cars that you would probably know and love. And it's a little bit heartbreaking to see that. However, it makes you happy to see McLaren doing such a great job with redefining what a supercar is. You know, they've just created this company and they've created these world-beating cars year after year. It's great to see. Now this car weighs under 3,100 pounds thanks to its carbon fiber monocoque chassis, including the roof. It's got aluminum subframes front and rear. It's got a carbon fiber skin on it, so no expense is spared on this thing. It's got a 710 horsepower twin turbocharged V8 engine with a massive 568 pounds-feet of torque. I think that's at 7,500 RPM or something like that. So it's a very powerful engine, lots of torque, very light car. Mid-engine puts power to the ground really well. This is a world beater now. So we'll look forward to seeing this car probably smash a few track records in 2018 coming up, because it's a relatively new car for 2017. So we'll keep you posted as we see things happening with this car. All right, next on our list, we have none other than the Porsche 911 GT2 RS. Yes, the same car that has set a brand new lap record at the Nürburgring Nordschleife for production cars. Going back to the Huracan Performante, I forgot to mention that it's just a pip behind this 911 GT2 RS at the Nordschleife for the lap time. There's less than 5 seconds per lap separating those two cars. But the GT2 RS won that contest as the fastest production car currently. Not much more needs to be said about this car except that it has 700 horsepower from its twin turbocharged 6-cylinder engine. It has a largely steel body, but it has been extensively lightened from the 911 platform, so it includes a lot of titanium, carbon fiber parts and stuff like that, like carbon fiber hood, fenders, other goodies like that. But it's still a huge achievement for Porsche to bring their rear engine 911 car right to the top of the heap again for 2017. Again, this would be a great car to look forward to in 2018. I think we'll be following that, and I hope to even see one in person and feature it on this channel. Next on our top 10 list is the Ford GT. What a year for Ford. This is a much anticipated replacement for the very successful retro-styled Ford GT from about the mid-2000s. But this car is not a retro car at all. It is about as futuristic and forward-looking as you can imagine. It's very similar to the McLaren 720S in that it has a carbon fiber monocoque, carbon fiber body panels, aluminum subframes and stuff like that. Where it differs from that car is that it has a twin turbocharged V6 engine versus a V8 engine. Although it does produce 647 horsepower at 6,200 or so RPM and lots of torque, 550 pounds-feet of torque. What makes it different from the HURACA Performante? Well, probably the aerodynamics. It's a little bit more radical than the Performante. And while they're similar in weight, the Ford GT has almost 100 pounds-feet more of torque. So it'll be very interesting to see how it fares against its competition on various racetracks. I'm looking forward to that also in 2018. Alright, next up on our list, we're getting into the very high dollar cars, as if the Ford GT wasn't expensive enough at least 500 grand if you can get your hands on one. Well, next on our list is the Bugatti Chiron. Now, if you thought the Ford GT was expensive at about $500,000, if you can get one, the Chiron is on another level altogether at about $3.5 million. I mean, the Chiron is a great example of amazing excess in almost every department. It's $3.5 million bucks. It weighs something like 4,400 pounds. It's got not 2 turbos, but 4 turbos. It doesn't have 8 cylinders, it's got 16 cylinders. So it's got more and more and more and more of everything. Now, does this more is more approach really work for everything? Does this make it the best car out there? Does it make it the fastest car out there? This is a really good question. It seems a little bit more like a bullet train than it does a car right now. I mean, it's really good at going really fast on a straightaway or something like that. Awesome. And is it really the fastest car out there? Well, it does 260 miles an hour. So you'd think, oh yeah, sure, that's the fastest car out there, right? At 260 miles an hour, there are faster cars, believe it or not, which leads us to our next car on the 10 best for 2017 list, the Koenigsegg Agera RS. Now, this is the car that famously beat the Bugatti Chiron in the 0 to 400 to 0 contest this year. Yes, they took that crown away from Bugatti. That must have hurt. Now, to put it in context, Bugatti is underwritten by the VW company, right? The Volkswagen company, which has very deep pockets. Koenigsegg, on the other hand, is a very small specialty company started by its founder, Christian von Koenigsegg, in Sweden. And they make just a few cars a year, and they're really, really expensive. I think the Agera RS is over 2 million bucks. So we're still in the stratosphere here. But this is a major customizable carbon fiber beast, and I think it's got a 277 mile an hour top speed. Whoa. And the 0 to 400 performance is 26.8 seconds versus the Chiron at 32.6. It's faster. Now, the Agera RS weighs about 3,100 pounds, so if you compare it to the Chiron at 4,400 pounds, it's a much lighter car. It has less horsepower. It only has something like 1300 horsepower versus the Chiron's 1500 horsepower, but you get the idea. That's why it can accelerate faster than the Chiron by quite a bit. Now moving on to our very last car of the top 10 supercars for 2017, we have something you may not have heard of, the Neo EP9. And you may be asking, the what? What is this car? Aha! Well, this is a surprise for you because this is not a gasoline engine car. It's not a hybrid gas-electric car. It is a pure electric hypercar. It's not the only one in the world right now, but I wanted to point this one out because it did a fantastic lap time of something like 6 minutes and 45 seconds at the Nürburgring. So here's all the relevant details about the Neo EP9. It's got 4 electric motors. Each one of those has about 335 horsepower for a total of 1341. That is 1 megawatt of power. Yes, it weighs over 3,800 pounds, so it's a big car, about the same weight as a Nissan GTR. So it is not a lightweight car, but it is all electric, so it's got to carry all those batteries and produce a lot of kilowatt hours of power, right? It's got 4 transmissions. It's got carbon fiber everything, and it even complies with the FIA Le Mans prototype regulations. Okay, so it's really a race car. I'm including it on this list not because it's a regular production car or even that it's a street legal car, because I don't even know if it's street legal or not. But it just demonstrates that the era of the electric hypercar is here to stay. And it puts everybody on notice that, you know, supercar lovers and enthusiasts, that e-cars are not a joke. They're competitive with anything else we can produce and that we know how to produce. And we're going to be looking for a lot more activity in this segment in the years to come. And that's why it's on this list. So that, my friends, concludes our list of the top 10 supercars for 2017. And what a list it was. I hope you enjoyed looking at those cars again as much as I did. And I think even though 2017 was really a watershed year and an amazing year in a lot of ways, I think 2018 is going to even breach that mark. I think it's going to be an amazing year for performance cars and electric performance cars as well. I want to thank you all very much for watching this special episode of West Coast Supercars and Classics. And I want to wish you all the very best for 2018. Happy New Year.